Welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Court Card Guide. I believe this is the last video. This is Kings Reversed. So if you're looking for the Kings Reversed, here we go. Now the first king that gets reversed, the first king that gets moved around, is going to be the King of Wands. It's going to be the King of Wands. Now the entrepreneur, we know the entrepreneur. He is the original king. When he is reversed, however, he does love the excess. Now, this is a fairly organized, a very good king where he had a lot of capabilities. He could multitask. He could do all the different things that were required of him. But now that he's reversed, I mean, he doesn't really... He just spends too much. And when I say spends too much, it means too much time on wasted efforts. He loves the excess. If we can do excess drinking, excess food, excess anything, the King of Wands reversed does enjoy the excess. And that's going to be a problem, right? This sort of points us into addictions. So if we have a reverse king, could be looking at various addictions and other possibilities of bad things sort of coming about, right? The other thing is they spend too much, and again, spend too much time, spend too much money in order to get the excess. So if that means spending everything that they have, that's fine. It also sort of leads to bad investments. Because when you have an investment in the entrepreneur, you're really looking at some good stuff. But the bad investments are just from the terrible ideas, which is sort of the next feature here of, just the ideas just aren't there. And the ideas that are there are just poorly manifested, poorly thought out. And we end up with multiple issues because we just have multiple issues with this particular person. Now, the King of Wands, if you remember, unexpected money, right? That's exciting. That's exciting. But when it's reversed, the unexpected money just sort of vanishes and goes away. Again, maybe it was spent. Maybe it was allocated to the terrible ideas. We have a lot of possibilities for sort of where it went, but the unexpected money just vanishes and goes away. Definitely not associated with the King of Wands once they are reversed. The other side of this is they're quick to give advice. Normally that may be good or bad, but again, we're back to the terrible ideas and bad investments. And when we mix those in with advice, remember, we could be getting poor advice, ill thought out advice. It just doesn't make any sense. So we have a reversed King of Wands next to something where we would get leadership, like the Emperor, for example. We're going to get an Emperor that is just going to give us terrible things and is not going to be reliable. And so you sort of want to watch out for that Emperor. Now, normally, the Emperor would be a good sign with the King of Wands because he's the entrepreneur. A King of Wands with an Emperor combo would be fantastic normally, but because of the reversal of the King of Wands, they're going to take leadership role. They're going to take control, and that control is going to be very poor. So it could be a bad manager. It could be a lot of different things. So watch out when we have that combination with leadership with a King of Wands reversed. Now, the next thing we have, again, a lot of these are bad money handling or bad money. And you'll see that over and over throughout, right? The King of Cups. Now, you remember this was Gandhi. This was a pacifist. This was someone who was very in tune with their emotions. And now you're sort of out of tune with those emotions. Those emotions are a bit, iffy at this point, not something that you really want to deal with. So the King of Cups is going to sort of roll around reversed, looking at dishonest money handling, bribery, a lack of emotional control, and poor emotions or uncontrolled emotions. And that's going to be sort of the key factor here. In the King of Cups card, when you actually look at the bottom of the card, you have these big waves, you have a whale in the background, you have a ship sailing around. And those hectic waves, when turned upside down, are much worse. So you really get this disorganized, this loose control of our emotions, feeling everything all at once. And some of it leads to dishonest money handling and bribery, just dishonesty, right? When we get the emotions and we turn it upside down, and now we are in the bad side of the emotions or the negative emotions. Part of that is just going to be dishonesty, to where not only with money, but with relationships as well, right? King of Cups being a pacifist, being in control of their emotions, now it's out of control. And out of control emotions will lead to lies, lead to deceit. And you see that here with the thievery, scams, and dishonesty. Now, this is sort of unusual, right? Because the King of Cups is almost sort of leaning into a feeling of a King of Pentacles at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because we have thievery or loss of second house items, where we have our possessions, we have our money and things like that. We're losing it with the scams, dishonesty, thievery, bribery, and dishonest money handling. Again, we see a lot of dishonesty here because of that negative manifestation of these emotions. But we also have a lot of second house items that are being lost, that are being manipulated. So, and it feels a lot like a sort of a King of Pentacles reversed here, to where we get that stability of the second house and we flip it upside down and we end up with scams, dishonesty, a bunch of second house possessions being lost and things like that. Now let's move on to the King of Swords. Now, similar to the Queen of Swords. You remember the Queen of Swords is Cruella de Vil. You remember that, right? The Queen of Swords is Cruella de Vil, and Cruella de Vil was just mean, cruel, etc. And when reversed, it was the same thing. So when you get with these swords, the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords, we have these mean people, basically, where they're not in control. They want to be in control, and they're going to make everybody miserable around them in order to be in control. And that's what you have here. We have dangerous, we have cruelty, we have all sorts of issues with the King of Swords, even reversed. So you get the King of Swords negative thing. You remember he's a military dictator. And when reversed, it's the same thing, but even worse. So it doesn't really improve. And you would expect it to improve because it is reversed, right? It is reversed. You would expect it to improve, but it just does not. So keep that in mind, that you can get into a situation where even if it's reversed, it's like the sun reversed still is good. The sun reversed is not darkness. It's still good. So it's still light, still shines amongst all of the other cards. So again, keep that in mind once we get into these dangerous, cruel King of Swords feelings. The other thing that the King of Swords sort of points to is worrying and concern. And this is unusual, right? Because it almost reflects back to what you would expect from the King of Cups. But it's in a sword feel, or it has a sword feel to it. And again, we're talking about concern, worry, difficulty dealing with conflict in general. So they avoid conflict, which makes a little bit of sense, because the King of Swords, being the military dictator, doesn't mind conflict at all. A leader, especially a military leader, is going to be accustomed to conflict. That's how they roll. But once it's reversed, they really don't want to deal with that conflict. Now, again, they are still mean. They are still cruel. They still have that King of Swords feel to them. But they now have the addition of worries, concerns, and things happening with all of that, and difficulty dealing with a lot of the conflicts. The other aspect of the King of Swords when it's reversed is trying to manipulate you into doing something. Now, remember the King of Swords right side up, they would just give you orders to do something. They would demand that you do something. But reversed, the King of Swords really points to manipulation. So I'm going to try to trick you into it. Now, is that because they don't want to deal with the conflict? Maybe. Maybe they don't want to deal with that conflict. Maybe they're tired of it and they want to do something else. And that something else could be manipulation, where they just want to manipulate you, they want to use you, and they want to try to trick you instead of directly ordering you to do something. So let's move on to the last one, the King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles is such a strong, stern, reliable figure. But when reversed, now we're looking at weak and feeble. They just don't have the tensile strength, literally, to be able to hang on, to be able to pull that rope, to be able to pull everything together. The King of Pentacles becomes weak. It doesn't have that strength that it did when it was right side up. It doesn't have the reliability, which is a key factor to all the Pentacles, is the reliability. But it's gone. It's gone. We're weak. We're feeble. We can't handle it. This is not going to be a good manager. This is going to be a manager where you're going to have to step in and take control. This is going to be a love partner where you're going to have to step in and take command. This is not something where we can rely on these people on a constant basis to get things done, right? Weak and feeble when it's reversed. The other thing is the King of Pentacles' primary big feature, their big bonus, which was business dealings. They were amazing at it. They were amazing at business dealings. And now not so much. Now the business dealings have gone poor. This is going to be important. If we're buying a house, we pull the King of Pentacles, we're buying a house, something's up. Something's up. We may want to read the fine print at this point. We may want to start asking questions. This is a big red flag for purchasing anything, especially a house, car, anything with substantial money involved with it, right? Court cases as well. The court cases, if we have terrible business dealings, terrible dealings, we could be looking at making a new enemy or vice or making something out of something else. So it could be a different relationship with the other people that we're dealing with this situation. So again, if it's a court case, the situation could change. The dealings could change. It could be more of an enemy than we originally thought. All right. And the other thing is they just can't handle money. They just can't handle money, which is, again, very much reverse of the King of Pentacles in the first place. King of Pentacles was great with money, very stable. He's able to handle it. This was the retired banker, you remember? The retired banker, they have enough money, they do all of that. King of Pentacles can't handle money. That is going to be a red flag with relationships, obviously. You want to watch out. We want to watch out with these relationships if they can't handle money, because we could be in a situation where they're trying to borrow money. This is also going to be bad for investments. If we're investing in something and the stockbroker or whatever just can't handle money, King of Pentacles reverse, could be looking at a situation that's not good. Could be losing some money here. And it's also dealing with corruption. Again, a lot of these reverse kings are manipulating us. They are trying to take what we have. And that is sort of where the corruption comes in as well. So if you see a reversed king, the first thing you should ask yourself is, what could they be trying to get from me? What could they be trying to get from me? Because that's a red flag. It is a red flag. What are they trying to get from me? You want to ask that question. And the last thing is spending too much. And again, you see this gullibility. You see this overindulgence with the kings. The kings so powerful, with such control. When it's reversed, they just don't have that command. They don't have that control. No accountability whatsoever. Spending too much. They just don't care. They've lost the give a crap gene. And they just don't care at this point. So again, any kings reversed, first thing to ask yourself is, what could I lose here? Or what could they be trying to get from me? So big red flags here. Anyway, I have a Patreon. I know you've heard I had a Patreon, and it's true. You can support me on Patreon, link in the description. So what's on there? What's on that Patreon? Why should you join? Well, you get all of my books, the Tarot Oracles book, the Echoes of Nature book, and my new book, about card combinations. You also get all the handouts from all of my classes, as well as the Fluffy Virgo Lenormand and all of the Lenormand pads. Basically anything I create from now until forever. You get access, you get to see it, you get to play with it, you get all of the handouts, you get all of the goodies. And the best part is I teach you how to draw. I teach you how to draw 20 hours of detailed drawing instruction where you can draw what you see on the screen in like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. And then you can do pet portraits for your local city or on Etsy or wherever you want to do. Make a little cash on the side and all that for just $5. I mean, come on. Not a bad deal. Plus, you get to support me and my work. If you like my work, I assume you do because you watched the whole video. So there. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. And we'll see you in the next video.